Hi everyone, I'm Sandy Lene. Welcome to Psychic Creations. We have a very interesting show for you today, as our guest speaker is a teacher of her culture's language, which is the Washoe language, which is a beautiful language. Please welcome to Psychic Creations, Melba Rakow.
Melba de Gumdia Kele, Wailu de Te, the Halinga Washoe Itlu Dugayayushkulagi. I simply said, hi, my name is Melba, and I live on the foothills, and I've always spoken Washoe. And these are the things that we're hopefully talking about tonight.
Isn't she awesome, viewers? Oh, thank you. It is an honor to have you on our show, Melba. All right. Well, I think our viewers are excited to get to know you, and me too, so let's go right into the questions, all right? Now, can you give our viewers a brief history of the Washoe culture?
Well, the Washoe people, we contend, have been here forever. They discovered a large obsidian point, spear point, about 5 years ago in the Sierra Valley area, which is part of our territory. Our territory ran from, not to interrupt myself, but there we go. The spear point was down. If they had gone a foot more, they felt we would have been in the Ice Age. So if that's the case, then I feel like we've been here forever. But as far as our area is concerned, we run from Yosemite all the way up to Honey Lake, to the north, and then to the east we go on the edge of Lahontan and all up through there, and to the west we're mainly in Colfax area on that side of the mountain, and then it becomes the Maidu and the Nisenan people.
That is a very large territory. Nice.
Nice. Very nomadic people. We mainly were around Tahoe. That was our center. We considered Lake Tahoe a very sacred lake, and so that's where everything for us came from.
Oh, that's wonderful. So your culture has been around a couple of years, I'd say.
Just a couple.
That's interesting. I did not know that. That's very, very interesting. Well, Melba, when did you learn the Washoe language?
We spoke it in the home, so I learned it from birth. That's the only language we spoke in the home until I started first grade.
First grade, mm-hmm. Okay. And was that difficult to master English then?
A lot of people tell you it is, but for me it really wasn't. But I also was very fortunate. My first grade teacher was also my neighbor, and so I would get off the bus at her house, and she would tutor me in English. And so the English portion was, I learned actually most of my language, the English language, from funny books. I knew all of Superman and
is that
and
right?
all of those things, and that's how I learned to speak the English language.
Isn't that interesting? Did you teach your family then, how your parents, and how to speak?
They spoke English. It's just they chose not to speak it in the home.
Oh, okay.
So
what a wonderful way to pass on the language.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I wish more people had done that.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Well, now, when you did go to school and you were learning English, were there any classes that you took where you could speak Washoe?
No, Washoe was, or any kind of other language other than English, was not allowed in school in the time that I started school. Basically, you were told, you don't speak that language. You learn English, and that was it.
That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You went to public schools?
Yes, I did. I went to, I started first grade in Gardnerville Elementary School.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Mrs. Roberts was my first grade teacher.
How fun. Now, were there any Native American schools in this area, or?
Not really, only the boarding school, and that was specifically Native American, and they came from all over the West Coast to come to that school.
Okay.
But my dad was a bricklayer, so he decided no, I wasn't going to go to Stewart. And he just made sure I started school in the elementary school.
I see. Okay. Goodness sakes. Well, what inspired you to teach the language?
A lot of things, but mainly because it's a dying language. There aren't very many people who are fluent in the language anymore. There might be a handful. And then they don't use it because that's one thing that the boarding school did do to the people, is because when you were in boarding school, you were not allowed to speak your language. You were punished. And so hence, or practice your traditions or anything like that. Boarding school was meant to annihilate the native people and assimilate them into the society of being domestic, basically. You were taught home skills. The girls learned to sew and wash and clean and, basic housekeeping. And so, they took away their traditional dress. They weren't allowed to speak their language. And so it was very hard. And a lot of people who are older than I am, probably maybe 20 years older or so, or maybe even 10, were people who were at that, boarding school. And it caused a traumatic rift at that time, because when those people came back, they didn't know how to be parents because they had been so dependent on where they were, and they no longer did their traditions, and they no longer did all these things. So there was a big rift, and so hence no one used the language. And those people, when they died off, the elders there just wasn't any language anymore.
Oh, goodness sakes.
Yeah, so it had a big impact.
Well, it did. It did. Oh, I don't know what to say to that. That's kind of very sad for the language, for the culture.
Yeah, it is. It's something that happens, though, because we are a conquered nation, and it happens where no matter where you are. I mean, if you were in South America, the conquered nation there was Spanish, so everybody speaks Spanish. Just as we were conquered by the English, so we speak English. Well, a type of English.
There you go. Right. Oh, gosh. Well, do you like to teach?
I do. Like I said, it is a dying language. I enjoy teaching because I feel that because it is a dying language, even if I get one person to be able to speak at any length, I've accomplished something. I think because when I go, I'm the last of the fluent, really, speakers.
Are you?
I think so. There might be a couple, like I said, but they don't use it either. Yeah.
Do you speak, to get off track here just for a second, do you and your family speak Washoe in your home?
I wish I could say yes, we would and did and all that, but no, my husband was not into that. So
okay.
It's kind of like, okay, you just don't.
Oh, sure, okay.
Though a couple of my children were picked up on it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they don't speak it per se, but I think they can understand a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. Well, now back to teaching the language. Can you tell our viewers the process of getting a class together? Like, is this a college course that you teach, or is it just for wee little ones in school, or?
It's basically for everyone. We have started out, we did a Head Start class for 3 years, a kind of a semi-immersion, And this was done because we applied for and got what they call the ANA grant. And an ANA grant is a language grant, but it had to be matched by the tribe. So if the tribe was willing to match what, you know, that grant was, we could get it. Which we did, and basically speaking, it was fun because we were with children aged 3 to 5, and from all walks of life, and they were and all their problems.
Sure.
But it was interesting. I'm personally myself, I'm not a totally child-oriented person, so it was hard for me at first, you know.
Okay, sure.
Because children are children. But then I had a couple that just grew on me, and I can honestly tell you I would not change that for the world.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Were the little ones, did they catch on to the language quickly?
Oh yeah, they do. They do. They're like little sponges, and if you use the language continuously in the classroom, or try to, they'll pick it up. They'll pick it up fast.
Sure, okay.
We have them singing, and we have them introducing themselves, and some vocabulary, and we went. It was done on a testing basis, and we used the Head Start testing, you know, their evaluation. And yeah, I'd say probably out of our classroom, there was quite a few that picked it up and kept. And we have some still that continue it. So
oh, nice.
that'll be good.
Oh, sure.
They're now 1st and 2nd graders, and we have one in particular who can introduce himself, and he shares his culture readily and openly, which is something that's been really hard, like I was saying, because of the rift in the way people think. And the parents, even right now, a lot of them are still have that. They're still, well, Christianity came in and taught them that, well, we're heathens, so hence you don't use your heathen language, you go ahead and use your other.
Right.
So, I mean, you have that also. So we had a lot of bombardment from the outside that changed the way, it had a big impact on the language and culture.
Sure. Well, do you think if or maybe this was the idea, that if you taught the wee ones, the little ones, they would take that home, where their families would start to embrace their own culture?
Yes, we did try, and we're still working on that.
Okay.
They did. A lot of, a few families actually started using the language taught to them by their children.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice?
So it's happening. It's a slow process. You know, it's not something. I've been told that the Washoe language is really difficult to learn.
Okay.
I don't know that because that's my first language.
Sure.
But I try to be really patient, you know, with people who are learning. I have, in my class, I have right now, I have people who are in a couple of linguists, and they're like in their 30s, early 30s. And then I also have elders that are in their 80s.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I have them, the gambit. Once in a while I have a walk-in who might be 25.
Oh, all right.
A young'un.
A young one, yeah. How interesting. Very, very nice.
And basically, I teach it differently than perhaps a classroom setting. I try to teach them by listening. Basically, I'm doing semi-immersion in what I do. And I find that people learn better the Washoe language if they listen and not take the time to start writing it down.
Oh, what a good
just talk, and it works. Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Took a long time to learn that point.
Really? Yeah. Oh, did it? Oh.
Yes, it did.
Oh, but that works best.
And the way I look at it is, if they can learn to hear it, learn to start the beginning speaking of it, then they can go to writing it down.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because, well, basically, when you're a child learning your language, you know, 1 year old or what, you're not writing things down.
You're hearing it and you're learning it in your head.
So that's most of what your lesson plans are, is just speaking.
Just speaking. I'll do I'll do maybe 10 or 15 minutes in the language a lot of the times. If not, then we go right to introductions, which each of them already know. So once they do that, then we'll start on a subject that reinforces whatever we're talking about. Like my last class was all about eyeglasses.
Oh, okay.
So the way I present it is that, okay, here's the eyeglasses, okay? And I ask them in the language, so they don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
And they have to figure it out.
Okay.
And so once they get it figured out, though, it's amazing. It's like a light bulb goes on.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Oh, I like that.
So I tell them, what is this? And they'll tell whoever, and the group will say, well, those are eyeglasses. I says, these eyeglasses are very, very beautiful. And it's kind of, you know, repetition too.
Sure.
And I'll tell them this, okay, in the language. And they'll look at me like, okay, what'd she say? And I said, these glasses are very, very beautiful. And I'll hold it up. And then finally somebody will say, oh, they're beautiful. I get it.
Oh, it just clicks. Like you said, there's a light bulb goes on.
Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
So we've been having fun with that.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
How many students do you have in a class?
Oh, it varies. I've had as much as 20 all the way down to 1.
Just
I mean, depending on, you know, that is the problem of teaching it, really. Because when I taught at the Western Community College, I only had 5.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I even had lecturers come in to help me out, you know, like on different things. The basket weaving, for instance, I had the gentleman from the museum come in and talk about that. And
Oh.
I tried to keep it interesting.
Sure.
But it, yeah, it wasn't. Oddly enough, non-Washoes, non-natives were more interested than the natives.
Is that right? Very, very interesting.
It was.
Sure.
I was surprised, but there again, I understand why.
Okay,
You know.
sure, right. Right.
They find no value in learning the language since this is a country they live in and English is the predominant language. But my thing I use a lot of times as an example is I said, yes, that is a predominant language, but if you go to Canada, French is their predominant language. So if you're learning French, but you also learn English, it's just automatic because English is worldwide. Okay, so I try to teach them that there is value in your language. Value teaches that young person or whoever learns it, okay, this is my sense of belonging, this is my center. If I know the language and some of my traditions, this is who I am. And I think a lot of what's happened in today is most people don't know who they are. They
Agreed.
they don't. They're out there, like you might say, a boat going along without their oar, because they're just floating along with the crowd, and they really aren't. They don't know where their roots are.
Right.
And I've had Italian people come to my class. I've had different nationalities come, and I've told them all, find your roots. If you're Italian, learn your Italian language. Find out which portion you come from. Where'd your grandparents come from? And once you do that, you find your center. And once you find your center, you become a whole person.
Oh, viewers, isn't this wonderful?
So
Yeah.
this is something I truly believe in, and I've been trying to teach that for a while.
Wow, what a great outlook that you have for, well, your culture for the world, for the people.
For everyone.
It is. It is. Well, now, you did mention that you had a basket weaver come in. So, along with teaching the language, do you like to institute some type of learning to get back, what am I trying to say? The kids can learn their culture?
Oh, yeah,
What you used
definitely.
to do?
We've even revived a lot of our old traditional games. We have what we call, well, we cannot call it Washoe Olympics, but it's kind of like that.
Oh, how fun.
And it's for young people, teenagers down to little guys. And There's a game called Beloy Up, which is like shooting an atlatl spear. Uh, and that's the baleta. I'm sorry, I have it wrong. And they have a hoop, and you have to shoot through the hoop with your atlatl. And it takes skill, because I've tried it, and I haven't any skill. And then we have Beloy Up, which is like a soccer almost, a football. It's a ball that is made of leather, and it's stuffed with tule, cattails, and they put that in there as tight as they can. And if you don't have that, then they use the sagebrush and the fill, how that peels. Yeah, they put that in there.
Oh.
But you kick it. You have goalies, and it's a free for all, and it's rough.
Oh.
And then we also have a women's game called Tagayak. Tagayak is also very no holes barred rough game. It's usually played with no shoes.
Oh, okay.
As it was in the past. And today, of course, the girls wear different skirts they've made. They make their own skirts to wear with it. And they take a pole, and they have to get the snake, what they call a snake, which is a wet leather wound piece.
Okay.
From one goalie to the other. And I got news, sometimes that snake comes and wraps right around your head.
Okay, gotta watch out for those
pesky. Or somebody steps on your foot.
Oh, well, it sounds like a lot of fun.
It seems to be. They enjoy it.
Sure.
Yeah, they enjoyed it. Yeah, they played it, not this year, but last year in the parade, in the Nevada Day parade, all the way down the street.
Did they really?
Yes.
Oh,
but they wore shoes. She says, no way we'd have made it without.
Oh, yeah, gosh, yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be darned. That's awesome that you're also teaching the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, I know I'm kind of getting away from the subject of you teaching the language, but do you teach little ones the foods or how to prepare?
Oh yeah, we do that too. We just recently did acorn, which some of the ladies in my group are just young ladies, and they're just learning to make it. And so it was interesting. They did a good job, and it was very good.
Oh, nice. Well, it sounds to me like you help teach a well-rounded student.
I try to, and it isn't just me. I try to include everybody who has any input.
Oh,
like,
nice.
Like other elders, I would hope that could come, and put their input into it. It's something. It's like a community thing. Yeah. Right now, my fellow teachers, of course, they're a lot younger than me. They're in their 30s and 40s, so they're the ones who do most of the teaching of this and teaching of that.
Okay.
On hands-on.
Oh, nice.
They do pine nut soup. They grind the pine nuts. They do acorn. The whole thing.
Oh, yeah. I love pine nuts. They are very, very good. Very good. Well, now back onto the subject of you teaching. Have you taught in like public schools, universities, other cultural centers around the West in different states, or?
Not really. We are here. We have a small area, and we are here. People do. We do have students in Germany. We have students here and there, because we have linguists who have come and learned the language, and then they take it with them and they teach there.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of going. It's a different type of speaking. It's not the same, but it's close enough. It'll do.
Okay. Oh, yeah. It'll do. Well, do you tutor privately?
Yeah, if somebody wants it, yes. Yeah.
How long is a class, or is it like a school semester, or?
Well, we do no more than an hour per class, and the reason why is that when somebody gets too much into their head, they can't remember anything. Well, it happens.
I can vouch for that. Okay,
myself. Sure. And so and we try to do it like before. We tried to do like a 6 to 8 week group.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
But there are not as many people, so we just do it at a continuous rate. If somebody new comes in, it's their thing to catch up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
And just keep going, because we were at one point we would stop and go back and start over for the person, but we were losing students that already were in advance.
Well,
so,
sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have a class going on right now?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I have it at the Carson City Native TANF building.
Mm-hmm.
I have their conference room, and we have probably, let's see, 2, 4, 6, maybe 10 people that come.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Pretty regular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And it's a potluck thing, so everybody gets to learn that tradition too. That you come in and, break bread with people, and you have a nice time, and you relax, and you learn language.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a nice, casual, but yet informative class.
Yeah.
So that's the nice way to learn, instead of putting the pressure on, or do you?
No, we don't put pressure on it. And then the other class we teach is, we teach one up in the senior center in Dresserville community. And we have young men in that one mainly.
Uh-huh.
And they come in and they like to have fun with the language. So Lisa teaches that one, and I go with her and support her. But she teaches it where who you are, your I person.
Okay.
What are you doing? And then where you're doing it at. And you guys come up with some of the funniest ones.
They've got the stories.
Yes. But it's been fun. That's a fun class.
Oh, awesome. That it sounds like a lot of fun.
We
Both
laugh
your
a
classes.
lot.
Yeah. Well, now, is there any type of written Washoe? I know that you have this book.
Oh.
And is it more Washoe? Is it more a phonics though than a written? I don't know what I'm trying to ask you.
Well, the Washoe language wasn't written to start with. What they call those ethnographers came along, and they're the ones with their what do you call that? Knowing the language by linguistics.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When they use those symbols.
Okay.
And we have had 2 different methods that were used originally, and one is a plain linguist that everybody can learn, and then there was one called the Wycliffe method, and I don't know that one as well, but it's similar. They're very similar.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So what we did in this is, and there are misspellings in this, we'll be honest and upfront.
Okay. I'll take a picture of this, viewer, so you can see the written language.
And this is how it's written, and you can see that. But then I translate underneath it word for word in English, and it's like speaking Yoda because it's backwards.
Interesting.
But most of the world's language is backwards to English.
Sure, okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like for instance, in this one here, it says Poetzali Tsuku Amawa, and it says, and then down here I go into Poetzali, which is the Poetzali. I think he's he's one of the Weasel brothers anyway.
Okay.
And it says Spider House Demolished Smoked.
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you really want to read the book as it's supposed to be in English, then you go back to the back. I never can find this.
Oh.
I should mark this in advance. English translation, it says, then it goes a long time ago where only the Washoe people were here, there were 2 relative weasels. And then you can read the
look
whole
at this.
story in
Oh,
English.
Okay. Oh, isn't that nice? Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
So this could be done actually What was very, I thought was well done was because we had the artists do the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
We did the story in the language, in linguistics. We showed how it was transitioned, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did it in English. This could be used actually for anybody to teach any language,
Mm-hmm.
because they could put their own language in, plug it in, and follow the same format.
Interesting.
And since linguistics is everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
their language can also be in linguistics.
Oh gosh,
The only thing that'll
interesting.
change is the translation underneath the actual Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda, that's funny. Okay, did you write the story for this?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
There are 6 books total that we wrote. Lisa and I wrote these, and basically speaking, it's me telling it, and then she's doing the linguistic portion.
okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this story that it's about a weasel and a spider?
Yeah.
Is that a Washoe story that's been handed down for? Okay,
For centuries. And
Centuries.
yeah.
it's a very interesting story too. I've read the book in English.
And our artists were wonderful. They were all different. This gentleman was Charles Monroe, and he's also a gourd artist. You'll see his displays all over. I think he's got one in Gardnerville at the Cultural Center there in
Ooh.
Minden, Gardnerville area. So anyway, yeah, he's the artist who did this one. And then we had another artist who did the others. There was one about the ant, and from his point of view, the ant's point of view.
Oh,
And that one was Billy Hawk Enos, who was the artist in that. And then we had Kevin Jones is another artist, and he did the pencil-like drawings with a light watercolor.
oh,
Yeah.
I bet that's beautiful.
Yeah, and he did the How We Got Our Hands, and I think he did another one. Yes, he did Ong, which is the big bird of the lake.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
And
Interesting.
that's not in color at all. That's totally all pencil.
Well, let me see, just one last question before we wrap things up. Have you been asked to speak the Washoe language at special events?
Oh yes, they're always. I've done the summit up the lake with our Governor Sandoval and everybody.
Oh.
I was asked to do opening invocations, so I've done that in my language. I do a lot of those. You know, people will ask me to come speak the language, especially in the lake area. I get a lot of lake area.
Oh, isn't that's wonderful, wonderful.
And I just did the fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club. I think that was Nevada Day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Weekend, yeah.
Oh, how
So I
fun.
opened there
Yeah.
with prayer and whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, how special.
That was fun.
It was fun. Oh, I can imagine so. Well, if you could you give our viewers your contact information?
My name is Melba Rakow, and my contact information, my phone number is 741-3016-775 area code. And you can get me anytime. I also have my business. You can contact me at so-and-so.
All right. Oh, goodness. And I'll put all of the information on the bottom of our screen. Melba, thank you so much for being our wonderful special guest today. It's always an honor to have you and your beautiful language on our show. Now, if you would like to be a guest on Psychic Creations, you can contact me at my website, which is www.sandypsychicstones.com, or at my email address, which is admin@sandypsychicstones.com. Thank you so much for watching Psychic Creations. We hope that you had a wonderful time, as I sure did.
Thank you for having me.
It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching Psychic Creations, and we'll see you next show.